69 here. Today I'm going to explain viruses and computer viruses. So we all know the biological virus. We're in a pandemic right now with COVID-19, but I'm pretty sure those of you that are old, not to make fun of you, but those of you that are old who have tried the internet or used it don't know anything about a computer virus. You may have heard of it, but you don't know about these newer viruses. And I had this happen to a friend while I was at the Kennesaw State when I was doing the SETS program, SETS, SETS program, where he had ransomware downloaded on his phone, and the teachers did not know what it was at the time. Alright, because nobody was informed about it but me. I was trying to tell somebody about it, but they would have just told me to be quiet and they'll handle it. But how can you handle it if you don't know what the virus is? So they spent an hour looking it up with him. Well, not with him, but they spent an hour on their computers looking up what this is, and they know it's a virus. Now, what is ransomware, you may ask? Now, imagine this. Somebody takes a valuable of yours hostage, and they make a video about it and send it to you, or they get your number somehow and send it to you. Well, that's what a ransom is, right? So they say if you don't do a certain request, they will do something bad to your valuables. Well, that is exactly what ransomware is. A ransomware is a virus that essentially it takes your files hostage. It encrypts them with an encryption code, and in order to get the encryption code, you need to pay the hackers a certain amount of money, or in this case, cryptocurrency, whatever cryptocurrency they will accept, because so the money doesn't get tracked. So most of the time it's gonna be in bitcoins, right? So you have bitcoins, and then sometimes Ethereum, but yeah, it's gotta be Bitcoin most of the time. And there's most of the ransomware are like that, but there are some that are made for fun, but they're still just as harmful. There's like ransomware, which is a Toho virus. You had to play Toho 12 on lunatic difficulty. It's a video game virus. So there's that ransomware, and there's a PUBG one as well. Well, I'm not sure if it's a ransomware, but in the modern age of the internet, and of course the quote-unquote real world, because it's a simulation thing, both worlds can get viruses, right? So you have your biological viruses, but your parents and anyone older than you say never accept anything from strangers. Well, they're right, because it can potentially harm your body. And you know what they say on the internet when you're using your devices: never download something from untrusted sources. Well, that's also true, because you don't want to get a virus, right? Well, sometimes the trusted sources, like official stores like the Microsoft Store or the Google Play Store for phones or the Apple Store, will have apps that are totally safe to use, right? You could use them for everyday tasks. Sometimes they can have I'm sorry about that. Anyway, what I was saying. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was mentioning not accepting things. Oh yeah, I was mentioning. Well, I wasn't. I was mentioning not downloading things from untrusted sources. Oh yeah, I was mentioning the official app stores. Sometimes they can contain viruses, or the apps can contain malicious code that makes them a virus. Want to double check that first, because the app could potentially harm your device. So like I mentioned ransomware earlier in this video. Well, there's different types of viruses being made every day, and there's also different types of viruses for your body that are being discovered every day. Just like strains of coronavirus. Have to wear your mask, but I'm not going to, because I need to make this video, and I don't want to sound muffled like this. So there's the worms. There's old viruses like email worms, so they can infect your computer without user intervention. I think that's how they work. but I saw it. I did some research on these viruses. So there's the worm, and then there's the keylogger, which logs your keyboard. So whenever you're typing something, it will send it back to the hacker. So you're not gonna notice anything, but that's also bad. You also got crypto malware as well that mines for bitcoins and cryptocurrency using your hardware's resources or your computer's resources and slows it down by an insane amount, and you don't know why, but it's doing that because you clicked something that you weren't supposed to. And then you have the rat. Now, what is a rat, you may ask? A rat is a remote access tool or a remote access Trojan that takes control of your computer. Now, let's pretend I'm the bad person here, or the hacker guy. Well, I could disguise it as a totally legitimate APK. I was making Android rat or a exe for Windows, send it off to someone and they might not know what it is until it's too late, and then I essentially get control of the device. That's what the rat is. So it lets me control your device, and I could do people could do very bad stuff on it. Well, in this scenario, I would. But this is an example. I'm not actually going to do that. And then I don't know what the man in the middle of attack is, but it's basically. Oh wait, that's something else. I'm not sure what man in the middle, but you could look that up. And then you got the looking over your shoulder. So pretend there was someone here. They're looking over your shoulder while you're typing in stuff. Now I think that's similar to keylogging, but my brother told me that one about the looking over your shoulder. So those are the types I know, and then there's like the activation time bomb virus is what I call it, or the virus that activates at a specific time. Now these viruses don't exist anymore, but in the new age, but they will essentially activate when a certain time is met. So like if somebody made one for Valentine's Day, so on the 14th of Valentine's Day, if you got an email from someone, well, if you got it prior to the infection, it will stay dormant, and then all of a sudden it will unlaunch. It will activate and launch its deadly payload, which could be literally anything, and you wouldn't know until it's too late. So it stays dormant. So you want to be careful, but you don't want them. I mean, I'm still telling you about those viruses because sometimes people will add an activation date. No, but sometimes they don't. But sometimes they won't. It'll just activate immediately, but in the background. And there's the zip file virus, which is a type of virus that makes it so it fills up your space. Now let's God you don't get that one, because if you need space for something, then you probably had messed up there and downloaded something you weren't supposed to. Now this can come from downloading pirated games as well, and sometimes illegitimate games have malicious code. So viruses are technically software, but they're all just malicious code. And whatever you put on the internet, yes, it will stay up there, including posts and videos. But sometimes people want to see the old net, or the old internet, the 90s internet. You can't do that anymore. Well, you can, but you can't do that anymore because sometimes the original website domain is down forever, or sometimes the domain was sold and they couldn't pay the money to keep the website up. So there's that. So you can keep, posts cannot be deleted. You may have posted something that you weren't supposed to, but it will stay up there because somebody may have downloaded a copy. But old things like on the internet, if you want to research old stuff about the internet, you can't do that anymore, but you can using the Wayback Archive machine or the Wayback machine. But that old internet stuff is gonna be gone, and most likely no one's paying for that. But luckily there's people that are there to help us out in archiving the old internet. Well, that and history. So, yeah, don't trust anything that sounds suspicious. And if it's like an official software, make sure you check with somebody or check with an antivirus, because sometimes official software can give you a virus too, because some developer over at that company is very bad and wants to slip malicious code into it. So it's like poisoning something. It's like poisoning food. It's a totally legitimate apple, but somebody may have slipped poison in there really quickly, and by the time you eat it, you might have already did harm to your body, or you might have already, well, you know what I mean. I can't say it on here. I'm just gonna say this. You might have slept forever. Is what I'm saying. I can't say that word on YouTube. So yeah, there's those viruses. Did I forget something else? At least I don't think so. But if I did, I'll make a second part to this. So there's crypto malware. Oh yeah, there's adware. So they're the type of viruses that spam ads at you, and so those are just bad. So I'm not sure how you could get these ones. I haven't done my research on that, but that's what it gets adware. And there's also joke viruses. Now these are viruses that are probably made by you or your peers or your friends. These can be just as bad because they're just annoying and they could ruin the overall lifespan of the computer. And yeah, you don't want to get that. And these and while we're on the topic of this, malicious code can be injected into anything. You can inject it into a photo, and you could open the photo or download it in this case, and then you can inject it into a text file or any file on the computer, an audio file, any single file we have on that computer. Any user can find some way to inject malicious code into it. So yeah, you could have somebody look over the code if you're developing an app, but what makes you think that person is also evil too? So in this case, if you're making, but you could look over it yourself. So make sure you're hiring the correct people. This is to the developers that are making apps for the consumers. Make sure you're hiring good people, and make sure they're not like a hacker, or make sure they have a good background. And if you are gonna do it, well, this is gonna be confusing, or this is gonna be like debatable, but make sure you check the code for anything malicious. I know the person's probably gonna be malicious too, but hey, if it's the head person, then they can be trusted. So make sure a trusted person can check it. I mean, you can't trust anyone. You can't trust anyone almost nowadays. You might as well just trust yourself. But still, don't get viruses on your body. And if you do, wash your hands with water and soap and water. Dry them, and you want to do that. I say 30 seconds. I say, hell, why not do 40 seconds, or why not do or something, or you could do 30 seconds, 30 to 20. But you could do 40 if you want. So wash your hands. And for the computer users out there, or anyone who uses a device, be careful what you click on, and don't get ransomware, don't get adware, don't get spyware, which spyware is I forgot to explain that. Spyware is exactly what it says. It spies on your computer and takes screenshots of it and sends it back to the attacker. And do not get botnet viruses, which uses, I forgot to explain that. Botnets I think they're similar to rats. I'm not sure. Botnets are a type of virus that take control of your computer, and they take control of millions of infected computers to DDoS a certain IP address, either a game or a website, and sometimes a little bit of both. So do not get any of these viruses. If I missed a few, you could list them. You can tell me in the description so I can make a part 2. And that is how you keep yourself safe from the world and the internet. Do not accept anything suspicious from strangers, and sometimes even legitimate stuff can be infected too. Like, well, infected as in like food and stuff. Like pies, apples, they can be infected. I don't know. Sometimes you don't really know what you're eating, but unless you make it yourself, but you won't even know. But you will know what you put in there. So yeah, this is to keep you guys safe from the world, and I guess online as well, or both. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll make a part 2 to this if you guys request it. I'm gonna see you guys next time. Bye. Hi guys, I just want to make a follow-up video. A worm virus, a computer worm, is a virus that duplicates itself and it injects itself into a program that is totally legitimate, and it destroys your computer. Also, I found more viruses as well. So you got the let me look up this. Let me get this site up. Alright, network virus. It travels through the network and replicates themselves through the shared resources, so like peer-to-peer. Well, I think it's peer-to-peer, but that's what it says here. And then, you know, there's this boot sector virus, but it's kind of old, but it can still harm the computer, so I'll just explain this one. Boot sector virus. It is one of the easier viruses to avoid. This virus hides out in a file on a USB drive or email attachment. When activated, it can infect the master boot record. It can infect the system's master boot record to damage the system. So yeah, there is the memes virus, which is considered a boot sector virus. So it infects the master boot record and replaces it with a Nyan cat. And then you got the web scripting virus, which is probably what my friend did. I'm not sure how he got it, but I'm pretty sure ransomware can be implemented into a web page, probably. So it is a sneaky virus that disguises itself in coding of links, ads, videos, and site code, like I mentioned earlier. Well, I mentioned the video part in another video, and the images part where it can be in any file, and it can infect systems when users download malicious files from other websites, or if you visit a website. You don't have to. Let's say you didn't download anything, but you visited it. You visited a bad site, and then now you have the virus. And this override virus, as the name implies, it's override virus. Override viruses can override content and to infect entire files and folders, as well as programs. And the browser hijacker. Well, as the name suggests, it's a browser hijacker, and this type of virus infects your browser and redirects you to malicious websites. Well, those are those viruses. Now, I know there's more of them, but you could do your own research on this. But some of these are really old, but can still infect your computer if your friend decides to do this. And then I will explain these other ones. So resident viruses, yeah, these are meant to set up a shop in your RAM metal with your operating system. They are so sneaky. They can infect themselves. They can even attach themselves to your antivirus. So they can attach themselves to your antivirus files. So whatever makes the antivirus work. And I'll explain how to protect your computer and your real body from real viruses and these computer viruses. First off, the body, to protect your body from biological viruses. Don't get food poisoning. Don't eat any food that's like food poisoned, and don't eat really old food. And don't touch anything that's been infected, or don't be near a sick person. And this is how to prevent them. And make sure you quarantine yourself first. And then if you're completely fine, then you can go out and do whatever. I don't know, go out on a date, watch a movie, play some billiards or pool, drink something of some sort. So those for the real body. I think there's 4. And if you do have these viruses, take medicine. Wait for it to go away with the medicine. get lots of rest and sleep, and that should be good. Now, for the computer side or any device you own, make sure you update your operating system to the latest version and security updates. If you're on Windows 10, Windows 11, whatever Windows they have released right now. That also not only Windows, this includes other operating systems like Mac and Linux. And make sure, I kid you not, sometimes they use the default antivirus. Sometimes we use the default virus that comes with Windows, which works just well. In addition to having that, make sure you get the antivirus. Alright? And sometimes the viruses will leave around some files. Sometimes you will have to do some manual cleanup. So you have to manually clean up that stuff that it leaves behind. Because in a world where we have the internet that is evolving, so are threats, and so are actual real life threats and more simulation. Anyway, we all know the threats. We see them on TV. But yeah, this is the follow-up. I forgot to mention man in the middle. So a man in the middle attack, which is not virus but it can be, is a type of eavesdropping attack where attackers interrupt a existing conversation or data transfer after inserting themselves in the middle of the transfer. These attackers tend to be both legitimate participants. So yeah, it's where attackers interpret an existing conversation or data transfer. So that's what a man in the middle attack is. I think there's more to this as well. Oh yeah, macro viruses. Those are viruses that you could get in Microsoft Office, and yes, these do exist. So there's the worm ones, where worm can infect other files and destroy your system, the computer system, not your body. I mean, in case this video might be useful in the later years where we have chips inside our brain, and then eventually those chips can get infected with a virus. Yeah, maybe this will be good then, but not now. Okay, macroviruses. Yes, the macroviruses are indeed also a problem, because you could get them in a Word document. So you just enable it, and all of a sudden it's doing something that it's not supposed to. So you may have gotten a macrovirus. I don't think these are they're still relevant today. I mean, they were like that in the 90s, but these Microsoft Office programs have a built-in code editor inside of them, which lets you do Visual Basic Studio coding. So you program in Visual Studio to make your work a little easier, but people can use this for malicious intent. So there's that. And DDoS is denial of service attack, or sometimes on the internet forums you call it doxing. You don't want to be doxed, but doxing is another thing. But it's where you get your information leaked, and then somebody sends, like, let's say, private information like your phone number and your address. People can just call up a pizza place and order a bunch of pizza, and you don't know who did it. But you don't want that to happen. You don't want to get doxed. So this is a follow-up video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm gonna see you guys next time. Peace out.